Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you here already on Monday. It seems like the weekend always flies fast. Glad to be able to spend some time with you, though, talking about what's happening out there, politics, business, the economy, and so much more. And as you well know, I like to spend time with my friends from the Heritage Foundation, which is one of the country's premier conservative think tanks out there. Steve Bucci's been my guest before. In fact, your name sounds real familiar, Steve. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
What exactly do you do at Heritage?
I am the director of the Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies, and I specifically work on defense, homeland security, and intel, but I'm also responsible for the Middle East, Africa, Latin America, and Russia.
Wow, they keep you busy.
I have some really good people working for me.
And you don't sleep very well at night.
It's not, I don't have the simplest regions to deal with and issues to deal with, no.
No, not at all. Tell me about the, what's going on out there. You know, it seems like this whole September 11th is getting quieter every year. Or is it just me?
No, I think you're right. My wife and I were discussing it, and she, noticed that, the president and those folks, they did an event at the White House. They didn't go to the Pentagon. They didn't go up to New York. It's seemingly this administration is, I guess, part of the whole, the war's over. Let's stop thinking about this stuff. They're going to try and distance themselves from some of these events.
Yeah, that's interesting. And what do you think ideologically? This administration, this president in particular. Let me be precise. Gets a lot of slack as being incredibly sympathetic to Islam, to those who are Muslim. He gets a lot of slack from that. How much of this is done because of the paradigm of his view of trying to become warm and fuzzy, if you will, with Muslims? A lot in the hard left, right after the Boston Marathon terror act, were saying we just hope that it's that it was white guys and that did this, not dark skinned Islamic personalities. And so, well, guess what? They were light skinned, but they were still Islamic. Talk a little bit about that and the president's view of that type of thing.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, this president is way over the top, sensitive to Muslim sensibilities to the expense of American sensibilities, regardless of faith. And I think that's wrong. We saw it. Probably the most egregious one was in the whole Nadal Hassan event, where they referred to it as officially as workplace violence, not a terrorist attack, and that was just ridiculous. But they're very sensitive to that. I think to the expense of our efforts to protect ourselves.
Yeah, no question about it. So, tell us, what you're observing, I guess, since 2009, when Barack Obama officially took over when it comes to the U.S. treatment of September 11th.
Well, I mean, as I said, I think you've seen an incremental, rollback, de-emphasis of it to make it not, the big remembrance, because again, the narrative that this administration has been pushing is that the war on terror is over, that Al Qaeda has been defeated. We need to just go back to normal. The president's own words: we can't stay on a wartime footing forever. All these nice ideas that are a little absurd when the other side is still fighting and still trying to kill us. And I think the way they've backed off a little on the September 11th commemorations is part and parcel of that. And then we have the double one, because we now, a year ago we had another event on September 11th, which many of us had been expecting we would get almost every year since the first one, to remind us the war is not over and that we can't forget those people that were killed, because the guys who killed them are still out there.
Yeah. So how, with that in mind, what should people be thinking about? And I love what you're saying. It's kind of like in 1943 saying, let's get warm and fuzzy with the Germans and the Japs. I mean, really? Is that even appropriate, let alone good public policy? It's really analogous to that, isn't it?
It is. And, granted, even with the excesses that we saw in, World War II, as far as putting people in Americans of that descent into internment camps. We didn't cover ourselves with glory on that specific thing, but here, we're not rounding up Muslim Americans. We're not treating them poorly. We've gone out of our way to be as sensitive to them as possible. But when we're talking about the folks overseas, it seems like the only people you can't criticize nowadays in international forum are people who ascribe to Islam. And everybody else, they can talk about us being the most horrible folks in the world, that the things they say about the people in Israel are just unspeakable, but we can't say anything about them because that's blasphemy. Mm-hmm. Our president and the administration, I think, are way too sensitive to that. They see it as, that they're fixing what President Bush broke in that relationship. But as I try and remind people, we didn't start this thing. They attacked us.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, this week, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot with about a minute left. I'm sure you heard about the uproar of Ron Paul's speech about what happened on September 11th was retaliation of U.S. foreign policy, that those people were provoked. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we were provoked. We provoked them because we went into Kuwait at the request of the Kuwaiti government, into Saudi Arabia at the request of the Saudi government to protect Saudi Arabia and to then liberate Kuwait. And Osama bin Laden is still mad about that because the king of Saudi Arabia turned him down in his offer to bring in a bunch of jihadis to drive back Saddam Hussein. Instead, he took our offer and invited us in. That's our big crime. Mm-hmm. Ron Paul can take his opinions where they belong. I've seen too many people die. We did not provoke those people. That's a bunch of junk.
Okay, tell me what you really feel. Okay, so yeah, but it also kind of, he ends up helping in a way. He ends up helping someone like Barack Obama, doesn't he? Because Obama's position seems moderate compared to that.
Yeah, it does give him some cover, doesn't it?
Yeah, interesting. Thanks so much for being with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, I want to encourage you always to check out heritage.org, heritage.org. Great organization, provides a lot of content for the price of business. When we come back, much more for you. If you want to remind you the best content here, it can be found over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter.